That would probably be Skeletor. He was the evil Lord of Destruction. He's a skull face. Speaking of skull faces, let's talk about that horrendous story you just sent me.
Yes. It's, do I have it open? I don't. A golfer bit off another golfer's nose over an argument with about a golf game.
Yeah.
In Mississippi, right?
Yeah, Biloxi, Mississippi. A lot of terrible stuff with this story.
You mean the fact that he fled in a Tesla? Is that one of them?
That's one of them. I mean, he supports a Tesla, so he has a Tesla. You know what sort of guy he is. Second, they just kind of drop it incidentally in the third or fourth paragraph that they did not recover the nose.
Right.
So, which is upsetting.
Some bird came along and took it.
Well, that's more magnanimous than I was thinking. The guy ate it.
Ugh. Yeah.
Right?
I wouldn't think that. Even if I angrily bit off an ear or a nose, I would spit it out. That seems...
Yeah, and so they would find it.
Yeah.
They didn't... Oh, but maybe you're right. Maybe it was just a bird. Yeah, so now that guy's got no nose, which really...
Ooh, yeah.
That really stinks. Get it?
That's the... From now on, when people ask him, how do you smell? He can say,
don't have a nose!
Terribly, I have no nose.
It's the Seddy Bimco Show, the Spencer Gifts of podcasts.
And Bart.
And this is the Seddy Bimco Show, the show where we talk about travesties of high school, like wearing your Hulk pajamas to 7th grade. And we watch movies about teenagers or high school today.
All right.
We got to get on track.
Should we start talking?
That's a good opening somewhere in there. Yeah, I was, before we started, I was watching a little video about someone that has ADHD, and I didn't get to that part yet. And he was talking about how you learn to perceive reality.
Mm-hmm.
And he recounted the first time when he was a little kid that he perceived that, you know, we all perceive reality a little different in how it affects you. And I remembered one of my very early memories, once I knew that Looney Tunes cartoons were on early Saturday morning. I was up. I love those cartoons because they're the best animated cartoons. Hanna-Barbera sucks. Well, Hanna-Barbera has terrible animation.
Not even a fair comparison.
But, so I was up one morning, super early, get my socks on. I was all wide awake. And my dad says, "What are you doing?" Because my dad gets up super early.
Go get on my socks, Dad.
I was like, "I'm going to watch cartoons around early." He goes, "It's Friday." And suddenly I felt like, oh, it's Friday. I'm tired again. I want to go back to bed. I got to go to school. Because it was like first grade. You know, I just woke up confused. And I realized then, oh, I feel different now. Because I get up super early to watch the cartoons. And I don't want to get up and go to school. That was the first time I thought, that's funny. It's just, he told me it's a different day and I feel different.
Call back to previous episode. Were you wearing Hulk pajamas? No.
The whole point of that story was someone bought it for me when I just become like a teenager. Could have bought them for me when I was in first grade.
Wait, I didn't. I guess I forgot that detail.
Yeah.
My first day of first grade, I wore a Hulk t-shirt. A jersey. It was actually a jersey with like the different colored sleeves.
That's appropriate.
And 3/4 length things. I wore that on the first day of school of first grade.
That's appropriate.
Remember that very clearly. Appropriate. I didn't realize this was high school.
It was junior high.
Tim.
Because I told the whole story. Some relatives like, what do I get him? Oh, he likes comic books. How about Hulk pajamas?
Hulk pajamas. And then what? And then you wore them. Now, okay, I definitely had heard that at some point, but I screened that out for your benefit. Like, my brain didn't want to remember that. I think you may have just won the weirdest story that has ever been told.
Oh, come on. That was way back in the second episode.
I know. You set a high bar. It's why you have such trouble getting guests, because everybody hears that. They're like, I got nothing that dramatic.
Yeah. We're going to change things up.
Should we talk about that? That you're going to be getting rid of guests because you hate guests?
No, I'm not going to mention anything. Just things evolve.
You're not going to mention it's Natalie Kim's fault?
Yes, it's Natalie Kim's fault. I'm dedicating myself to the character. Commit to the character.
Keep that in there.
She helped me commit to the character.
Natalie Kim killed Seddy Bimco. I want to say this movie is probably the furthest from your mission statement you've done yet.
It's teenagers. Come on. It's
Are
teenagers.
they teenagers?
Well, they're supposed to be.
They're not. They're one of the couples is married.
I know, but in the description it says teenagers have a party.
Yeah,
so
it's hard to tell.
Come on, they were not adults. They weren't acting like adults.
They were. I don't know what they were acting like.
But this, we're watching Chopping Mall. We didn't say this yet. Did you say it?
Yeah. No, I did not.
Shot in 22 days with an estimated budget of $800,000. Produced by
And
Roger
by the
Corman's
way,
wife, Julie.
Yes, and emphasize you said chopping, not shopping.
Chopping.
Like slicing or cutting into small bits. Okay.
And did you read that Roger Corman's wife also made a 2008 film called Cyclops about the last living Cyclops found by the Roman army? And I thought of you.
No. Holy shit. No, I want to watch that, actually. I'm literally entering Cyclops Corman into an open web browser so I find it.
Yeah, take a look at those.
I did not read that.
Take a look at the pictures. I don't want to make fun of it. I mean, I'm sure it's super low budget. Do you see it?
Yeah, that looks pretty good. It's going to be a good
right.
movie. All right, I know what we're doing next week.
Chopping Mall. Chopping Mall stars nobody that is really famous except the uncredited shoplifter. Is that what you're going to tell me?
No, there's a couple famous people. I disagree.
Really?
Who was the uncredited shoplifter?
He ends up in Nightmare on Elm Street 3. Rodney Eastman. All
right, well,
and
here's the famous.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
So, there is the janitor.
Oh yeah.
That's Dick Miller from Mr. Futterman from the Gremlins.
They're all cameos.
Yeah. There was the guess of the character I'll say was the female lead. She was in Night of the Comet.
Right.
And there was one other famous person. I can't. I'll say it later because it's spoilers to say even a character description.
Well, let me give a quick synopsis.
All right.
This isn't even in the future. It's just a mall.
That was my first question. It isn't the future? I couldn't decide. Okay.
No, it's not the future because there's a record store still selling discs. Record discs, vinyl discs. But we'll get to that.
All right.
It's about a mall. And they introduced a new security system, which is made up of 3 robots that kind of look like the robot from Short Circuit.
I said they look like Knight Rider had sex with a Dalek.
That too. And some teenagers. Wow, that's a bad way to read a synopsis. Am I doing bad? You're making a face. Teenagers are going to have a party at the Furniture King because they're teenagers. And they're going to stay after the stores close, robots malfunction, and go on rampage.
I'm officially lodging my complaint that I think these are young 20-year-olds. There's no mention of school.
All right.
3 of them work at the furniture store, and there's definitely a married couple.
Oh, yeah. I was confused by that, too.
Yeah.
And I'll say this movie's a little too good for Seddy Bimco because...
I know what you're saying, yeah.
I mean, it's not good, but at least there's some okay camera shots. There's some special effects.
There's cleverness to it.
Yeah.
Like, there's some bits that I'm like I know I've come off on a few things, like on Spider-Man. I was a fan of Spider-Man, but this is much better than Spider-Man.
Yeah,
This is an actual movie, and there's some actual real performances, and there's a lot that's just like what. But the budget here is, even though you said only $800,000, they make some good use of that $800,000.
Yeah, they only stayed in one mall, so.
Yeah, that's true. It's very much like Clerks in that it's filmed in a mall at night instead of like a convenience store.
And I would like to reiterate that when John and I talk about these movies, and you too, I'm laughing with them, and I just want to have something fun to talk about. So this movie's a little better. I like Roger Corman. I never met his wife, and I'm like, but I'm just like, I like to say, I'm not making fun of people's efforts. It's just something fun to laugh about. I feel like I should say that once in a while. Especially
for this one, because you're right. I think the word here is effort. Like, there was, like I haven't seen all the movies you talk about, but some of those TV movies that you and John have described,
they are terrible.
Sound like nobody really brought, never mind their A game. They didn't bring a game.
It was just to sell advertising.
Yeah. There's a little bit of a vision here. There's definitely,
Well,
they're making statements.
Well, can you say his name? Jim Wynorski? He directed it.
Yeah.
And he met with Corman, and Corman was like, here's how you make a movie. And Corman taught a lot of people how to make movies. So he made a movie. I won't fault him for his judgment, but after this, he went on to make softcore parodies. Did you read this?
No, but that is
Softcore
very surprising.
porn parodies like Cleavage Field and the Bear Wench Project. These are movies he made.
Is Cleavage Field Cloverfield?
Yes, the bear.
Oh, that's probably good.
Think so.
That's got to be a giant nude woman attacking New York City, right?
Probably.
Or a giant woman with cleavage.
Yeah.
Yep. And open up another window to look that one up later. Cleavage Field, 2009, pornographic horror. Can't wait.
That's the category I don't get. Pornographic horror. No. That's a weird combination.
There was that comic shop that was near our old studio, Tim? Mm-hmm. I won't name it on the air because there was always, in the new book section, there was always you'd go in there on Wednesday. There was always a magazine called, it was called something like Corpses and Nude Women.
I remember you mentioning this. Yes.
Yeah, and it was literally, I don't think it was title? Nude Women.
Corpses and Nude Women?
Yeah. Well, okay. I think both words I'm using it was a synonym. It was two synonyms for that. It might have been the term for nude women might have been more pejorative.
Erotic dead
but
ladies.
I'm pretty sure it was corpses. Yeah.
Erotic.
And it would just, every cover was some nude starlet with a zombie barely covering her chest, with his hand gripping her. And I'm just like, man. And this is right on the shelf next to Spider-Man.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Bet you those guys had an article on Cleavage Field. All right, so
I don't know.
Yeah, so Chopping Mall, I gotta say, it's a bad film in the sense of it's a bad film, but I actually do think this was, like you said, I have to agree, too good for Seddy Bimco. It's a real movie.
Yes,
and there was, it felt to me I got strong vibes of RoboCop.
Oh yeah. This came out a year before, 86.
Which is before. Yeah. I know, this is an influence on it.
This came out this year.
There was a lot of Day of the Dead.
Yeah.
And a little bit of Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He wanted to do a Phantom of the Opera in a mall, and he came up with this script. That's what I read.
Wait, really?
Yeah, he had an idea about a Phantom of a mall, and then it morphed into these robots.
Now, you've done your research. You definitely found that this was originally called Killbots.
Yep.
And it was released with 15 minutes of additional footage that has since been cut from the movie.
I guess it was just bare breasts.
Right. Okay. There was listeners, I was kind of shocked.
An 80s film.
Yeah, but this has a lot. I mean, this makes sense. This is the man in Cleavage Field later. Because you get into a certain part of the movie, and then there becomes just for a while, there's a lot of boobs. And then there's that opening montage when it's not the opening montage.
No, why don't we kind of explain the opening? We'll get to the boobs.
Yeah, because my hopes were really raised by that opening.
They just open with the mall, showing the mall. There's they don't explain why there's women in bikinis in a contest walking through the mall, really. But this guy in the escalator sees them, and of course he falls over with all his pizzas. And have you ever fallen over, seen a pretty lady and fallen over, carrying everything to carry, and smash it?
I do.
You'd have?
In case my girlfriend's listening, Tim, every day. Every day I look at her and I just fall over and I smash everything I'm carrying. You're forgetting a very important scene before the bikini ladies, though.
Well, okay, go ahead.
Because the movie opens.
That's right.
Which I thought it actually, maybe I was watching a trailer.
Right.
Because you'd see just a very 80s looking generic punk sort of criminal walking through the mall at night. And he's confronted by one of these Knight Rider / Dalek robots. And the robot goes, "Freeze, have a nice day." Mm-hmm. And he pulls out a gun and shoots it a bunch of times to no avail. And the robot chases him down and shoots him with a dart, tasers him.
Yes.
And then it says the end.
Yep.
And this all happens in 2 minutes. Yes. I'm like, wow, short movie this week. But it's a advertising brochure kind of setting up what the movie's about. Like it's showing the people who are being sold. All the merchants of the mall are assembled there, and this like salesman is saying like, "This is going to be the new security system.
Salesman
going online Wednesday."
A salesman that looks like
it's a saleswoman and a salesman.
Well, the salesman looks like Putty from Seinfeld. Did you not think that?
he does. There was a lot of people. There was a lot of characters who had to stop and look on IMDb to see. I thought the male lead was Kirk Cameron for half this movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Noted Christian fanaticist and just general bad person,
TV.
Kirk Cameron.
What show was he on?
The one with Alan Thicke.
All right, not Full House, but
no, not Full House.
Half Full House.
Yeah, I think it was called Empty Sad House with Drinking Problem.
Empty Sad House.
Yeah. Wow, I don't know what was that? Family? No, it wasn't Family Ties.
Erotic naked lady magazines.
Cheers. Cheers. Or Frasier. Callback to previous episode. So the basic of this thing is there's these 3 robots. They're going to patrol the mall at night.
Mm-hmm.
They have these darts that knock you unconscious with tasers, and everybody has to wear a badge that identifies them as working there, and you're fine.
He says, and nothing is foolproof. All you need is a badge.
Nothing will ever go wrong. And there's these 2 weird characters who are like MST3King it throughout this whole scene that we never see again.
They're from
like this, like are they from something?
Eating Raoul. That was like a little in joke.
Wait, really?
Yeah, I read that. That was a little in joke.
So that's the actual characters from Eating Raoul.
Yeah.
And
because they mentioned a restaurant. Like, can we get one of them for our restaurant for the customers we don't like?
Eating Raoul is a film about cannibalism, right?
I was hoping you weren't going to put me on the spot, George, but I've never seen it. Did you ever?
I think it literally is about eating. I think it literally is a movie where they actually, like, it's a restaurant that falls on hard times and they turn people into food.
When it came out, I was very excited about it, and I bought 10 VHS tapes of it for me and my friends, and I was walking out of the store, and I saw a pretty lady, and I looked at her, and I fell and smashed all the tapes. I never saw it.
That's so embarrassing. Tell me more about this lady.
She was wearing a sash. I think it was Mrs. Pennsylvania. I don't know.
Nice. Which was weird because at the time you were like in Kentucky.
I was in Kentucky, yeah. That's why I looked.
So, yeah. You're like, what? Why did she say Pennsylvania?
So then they give a montage of the mall opening, and there is ladies walking around in bikinis. I'm not sure what is going on. Like, at least
this is where I realized the movie had a little bit to say too, because there's all the funny scenes of people moving in fast motion elevators. Like they all and then they come out. Did you catch this cameo, Tim? They all run into the elevator in fast motion, and then it comes out. They all leave, and then there's just this one child there who's like
they smashed his ice cream,
filthy and covered with ice cream. Did you recognize who that kid was?
Oh, was that a young Kirk Cameron?
No, that was 46th president of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
Oh, you're right.
He grew up rough.
You're making him way too young.
Yeah, this movie is indescribably old, of course.
So
they
show the mall. The kid, the ice cream gets crushed. They show the record store, and there's a kid with a square record in his shirt trying to steal it as a joke. I don't know if you noticed that.
Yep.
And over the loudspeaker, I don't know if you caught this, they said, "Child lost in lingerie. Child lost in lingerie." It's like they're calling for security. I don't know.
And they said his name, and I was wondering if that was a joke. And I actually tried writing it down, but I got distracted by the next scene.
His name was Donald Trump.
a shit covered little boy covered with brown ice cream. That would be the way Trump looked as a child too. So then we go to the pizza shop, right?
Oh yeah.
where we're introduced to two. Okay, this movie. Here's my big complaint with it.
Okay.
The 4 male leads were virtually indistinguishable.
True.
They all had button-down shirts and khaki pants and brown hair, and they all just looked they were generic looking as fuck. Although the one guy, like I did hint, did look somewhat like Kirk Cameron. Man.
And one of them chewed gum incessantly.
You're right. And
hey, baby.
The only one who maybe stood out slightly, and of course was the first person to die. Spoilers, people die in this.
Yes. Is the gum chewer.
The gum chewer. He gets killed
mouth breather
very quickly. Thank goodness, because that guy sucked.
But let's go. But this pizza shop, we were introduced to the girl.
The pizza shop, we're introduced to.
I know is going to be our hero. She's like, I'm nervous about a date, and the other.
Yeah.
And she's obviously.
I actually wrote down her name, her character's name, and the male lead. That I'm like, these are going to be the last two people left.
Her name's Allison, right?
Right then, and I was right.
Is it Allison?
Bubba?
Is her name Allison?
Yes, Allison. But she looks so much like her friend. They're blonde. Yep. There's a third girl who looks just like them. So there's 4 female leads. 3 of them are virtually indistinguishable blondes. The only character in this movie I could actually tell apart easily was the one brunette.
And the man eating pizza in the shop.
Well, yeah, and who asked for more butter.
I don't know what the joke was with this guy. If he was a cameo, but they just had to put a fat joke in there for no reason. He's like ordered all the pizzas and he wants more butter on his pizza. Maybe.
Yeah, which was like, I'm like, yeah, it probably was an in-joke. It's weird.
They drop the plate and they pick the plate up with their hands. I was like, no, you don't pick up broken glass with your hands. Did you see that? You sweep it up.
And the Italian stereotype goes, Allison, you're breaking my heart.
I was going to say, he's trying to do an Italian accent. It's pretty bad.
Did you hear what the guy who wanted butter also ordered?
No.
The ominous and disturbing sounding garlic logs.
Garlic logs? Did I hear that? What? Garlic logs.
What? Yeah. I'm like, what could that possibly mean? Like garlic logs.
It's just a bigger version of garlic knots.
Oh, you're probably right. I was picturing something more unsavory and maybe fecal based.
Since this is about the mall, did you as a child go to the mall a lot? Was there malls in Long Island?
Yeah. Oh, I wanted to ask you about that. Yeah, my big mall was the Smith Haven Mall. Okay. The Smith Haven Mall is infamous for this reason I'm going to tell you quickly. Uh-oh. When it opened in like the late 60s or early 70s, there was a large piece of modern art by what's his name? Calder.
Oh, yeah.
The guy who did Calder Circus.
Yeah.
It was a giant mural he made. It was something that was like, Long Island is a place devoid of any cultural import or value. Right. And they had this major art by a major modern artist. And it was there for years.
Oh, okay. I was going to say that people protested, right?
No, it wasn't figurative. It was like this kind of like orange kind of abstract thing. And years passed. So I think it opened up in like 69, let's say. Mm-hmm. Sometime in the mid 80s, they revamped this place.
They threw it away.
They literally threw it away. Oh my God. They didn't know what it was.
What? It didn't have a signature?
It did. It was this giant piece of thing. They just put it in their parking lot, not knowing what it was. Some gallery owner out in the Hamptons heard about this, came and took it, and you could apparently go see the artwork out there still. Wow. But now, if you go to the Smith Haven Smith Haven Mall, which I've not been there in probably 15 years, so I don't know if this is true. But for years after that, they renamed their food court the Calder Court after this guy.
I know.
So that was my shopping mall.
They got rid of it because people were buying garlic logs, and they'd be walking with this pile of garlic logs. They'd look at it, and then they'd trip and fall.
And they'd be like, "Is that a beautiful woman?" And they just fall on all the garlic logs. And that's the problem with garlic logs. They get lodged in places. Yes. It's not like garlic knots. Those just bounce all over the place. Garlic lodge.
Doctors have to remove those.
Yeah, man. Your body grips onto a garlic log.
You had a better story. I was just going to say that we go to our mall, and my parents obviously didn't know what Spencer Gifts was because they're like, I was like, I want to go here. They're like, okay, we're going across the street to Sears. You can look through this store.
Ooh.
And
that's how you lost your innocence.
I was very obsessive about seeing every little thing, and that place is just full of little knickknacks. If people don't know what Spencer Gifts is, there's like little statues. They look like they're drawn by Mort Drucker, and they'll say, I'm a little devil, or something funnier, and it's a little sculpture of a devil. And I would look through every item, and I assume they had bongs in there that I just didn't see because I was a kid. Did they sell them at Spencer's?
I bet you they didn't back then.
And I'd see games, like drinking games for adults, and like I had no idea what this is. And blacklight posters, I'd look through every one, like Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd. I just looked.
The thing I remember, there was always a baseball hat with a pair of breasts on it.
I never saw that.
Like they'd be soft breasts, and you could like pull the bikini top down, and you'd be like, "Well, that's mildly titillating."
I never saw that.
It was kids in the days before the internet. It was hard to find anything.
Well, I looked up Spencer Gifts in preparation for this podcast, as George knows.
Oh, nice!
Because I sent gift ideas, but under bachelor party, on the website, there's a picture of an inflatable duck.
Duck?
What does that have to do with a bachelor party? An inflatable duck. That's all it was a picture of. I don't know. They have.
Is it the complete duck?
Yeah,
Like,
it's a
do
big
you think
orange
like
duck.
because ducks famously have long corkscrew penises? Is there that attached?
I didn't see that.
That's what I'm saying. I think maybe they
even sell
bearing the lead.
gag pregnancy tests. I'm like, ooh, that's a gag that'll end a friendship or end a marriage.
Oh, if you go into a Spencer gift with your respective other, you're not long to like. You guys will break up soon thereafter.
Yeah, especially
there's no way.
If you both want to buy something there.
If you buy anything in Spencer's gift. So anyway, let's stop picking at Spencer's gift.
Yeah, we got to get
Those
through
people
this.
try to.
Got to get through this. What do I got? You talked about the beginning, so I'm looking at my notes.
Let's just cut to it. So there's going to be a party.
Wait, there's a gross
store.
scene at the beginning when they're showing the mall. There's kids making out on a bench, and this old couple sees them, and the old couple starts making out.
And we know nothing more disgusting
than old 80-year-old people making out.
Yeah,
the mall police came and took them away.
They actually just set them on fire.
Yes, you're messing up the ambiance of this mall. All right, got my notes. Guy fell on an escalator because he's looking at women.
And he works at let's just get this part. He works at a furniture store with his other adult friends who are definitely not in high school because there's no mention of school and they all have jobs. And they're going to...
Where else would you work? Where else would you work? In high school, you'd work at the mall.
They have married friends, Tim.
Okay.
And so that night, they're going to have a party which I guess this is pretty teenagery. Yeah. They're going to have a party at the furniture store. They're all... Well,
it's called the Furniture King.
Two of the guys have girlfriends there. They have their married friends coming in from out of town. And then the one guy who fell looking at the pretty ladies is being set up on a blind date with the woman who we mentioned who works at the pizza shop.
His name is Ferdy, right?
Ferdy and Allison. No, Ferdy, like Ferdy. Tim. What? Which version of this movie did you see? Apparently there's 3 versions available right now.
Tubi, whichever one it's showing. Why, you saw...
I watched the one on YouTube, which has the sequence with the crab monsters.
Yeah, I saw it. We'll get to that.
Okay, same version. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, married couple coming in from out of town to have a party at a furniture store to lay in beds that homeless people and children have been playing on all day.
And when we see the party, there's a little bit of music the chorus is "I'm a streetwalker, I'm a streetwalker."
Yes.
I don't see. They mention beer. I don't remember them drinking.
Oh, I do.
But
they had some beer.
Oh, they do? Okay. But basically, the only party you see a little bit of this, they dance for like 2 seconds. Then they just all go into different beds at the furniture store and are fucking.
Yes.
Except for our 2 main heroes, Ferdy and Allison,
who are watching
on their blind date.
That was a Roger Corman movie, I believe.
Watching a Roger Corman crab monster movie.
And she's scared of it, so I'm like, ugh. That's...
Yeah, so she's clearly got head trauma.
Yes. Because she reveals later her dad's
why do I watch these? Oh, yeah. That's...
So I'm like, you're scared of a black and white crab movie?
Every time my dad would watch a Roger Corman movie, he'd go back to Vietnam and have flashbacks.
He'd sleep on the floor all night, under my bed.
Did you watch this with subtitles on?
No.
The subtitles were fun. They would say things like, whenever the guy who chewed gum was making noise, it would just say jabbering.
I hated his gum chewing.
So obnoxious. That guy, good thing, again, spoilers, people die in this.
Yes.
Good thing that fucker died.
Yeah, because he went to pick up his girlfriend, and this girlfriend's father just was a creepy man. Anyway.
Yeah, that was weird.
Had nothing to do with the plot.
They have a weird thing. It's like, what are you waiting for to do with my daughter? They're like, we're going to a friend's house for a party, Dad. Okay. It was just odd. It was an odd scene. It was like, but again,
maybe
proof this was actually kind of really a movie. Because like that softcore thing that you and John watched, they wouldn't have gone into if there wasn't a character who was going to show breasts, they wouldn't even be in that movie.
Nope.
We never saw her dad's breasts, so him being there was character development.
They
all right.
So there's a party. We see all the women's breasts, except for our hero Allison.
Yep. And in surprisingly short order. It's just like boobs a pop and boobs galore all of a sudden. But what we need to mention here, because intercut with all these scenes of breasts out, is we see the control room somewhere in the mall that controls these 3 robot sentries.
It's hit by lightning.
And it's hit by lightning. Mm-hmm. And of course, if you know anything about this sort of movie, that makes them become killbots. And in an extra scene of boobage that we get here interspersed, one of the guys who is in charge of the killbots is looking at
something we used to call a centerfold.
Yes, it was back
before there was TikTok.
When there were back before there was there used to be things called magazines. Yes. And he's looking at the centerfold, and the one of the killbots
bursts right through the middle of the centerfold and strangles him with a metal hand.
Yeah, kills him.
Rips his throat out. Well, actually, we don't know, because the next guy that comes in that works there, the killbot hit his body, remember? He's like, what happened?
Did you recognize that guy? That was the other cameo I wanted to mention, but I couldn't think of how to describe him without spoilers.
Nope, I didn't recognize who it was.
That is, I think his name is Graham Garrettson. If you've ever seen Bud 2, Bud the Chud.
No. Is this the flying dog? Bud Air?
No, wait. No, I said Bud 2. Chud 2.
Oh, Chud 2. Chud 2. No,
Chud
I did
2,
not
Bud
see.
the Chud. He is the titular Bud the Chud.
Okay.
Well, he's got some credence, like some cred for this sort of movie. Like he's
for some reason the killbots
in there for like
hit the
2
body,
seconds.
the first body they killed.
Yeah, wait. Oh yeah, right. Yeah, they were hidden.
And he eats that donut. Gross.
Which I thought was his eyeball. There's a little round white thing. He's like, pig could have picked up his stuff. Oh, well, I'm going to eat this thing. And he pops it in his mouth. And then the killbot, which was hiding, like you said, hit the body, which shows that they're malicious at this point. Kills him. How? To cut his throat.
Yeah. Oh, the new guy?
Yeah.
Oh, didn't he?
I think he slices his throat.
Yeah. I forget now. It was so slow. I thought darts came out and he shot him with the darts.
Well, one of my notes I wrote was that, okay, I feel like the title for this, it's a pun, but it's a very misleading one. Because really, these Chopping Mall would have been more like a Jason Voorhees type in a mall, right, I think. Yeah. Like these robots, for the most part, don't kill by chopping.
No.
And I feel like this guy may be the only person who really gets killed by chopping. Like, I think he gets stabbed by one of its arms. And I feel like the reason this scene, which is very disconnected from anything else, including that other body not even being there, I feel like this was like they filmed the movie. They're like, okay, but nobody dies by chopping. They called in Graham Garrettson. They're like, dude,
you got to get chopped.
You got to get chopped. And so we can name it. I feel like this was added on after. It's very disposable. This character interacts with nobody in the movie except for the robot.
He's just there to come in and eat that donut.
Eat that donut and get chopped.
And so the guy who eats gum all the time, get his name. His girlfriend says, go get me gum and get me cigarettes or we're not going to have sex anymore. That's why I think they're teenagers. They're teenagers. Has an adult woman ever told you?
Wait.
Go get me cigarettes and gum or no more sex.
Is that the same? I did have a hard time, especially at the early stage of the movie, telling the characters apart. Is she also the one who is like, there's like the hinted oral sex going on?
Yes.
And she's like, you know I don't do that. Yeah. And he's like, you did last week. Man, I don't know.
Well, he gets killed. He goes get cigarettes.
But wait, we can actually determine if this is the future, Tim. Did you hear the price of cigarettes?
Yeah, $1.25. And he's like, oh, $1.25. I don't know. Yeah, do you know what cigarettes cost? I have no idea.
No. I think nowadays they're like $80 a pack or something. So. Kids, smoking isn't cool. Don't smoke.
I never bought them, so.
Yeah.
My mom's friend wanted me to buy them once. And I went in the store. She wanted like 20 cartons of cigarettes. I come out with these cigarettes. I see Mrs. Wisconsin walking in her bikini, and I trip and fall, and I crushed off cigarettes. And that's the last time I tried to buy cigarettes.
She must have been so bad. Mrs.
I was in Florida at the time.
That's weird. That's weird.
It's weird.
It's like your whole life has been plagued by these roving beauties. True story I'm going to interrupt with here. My father smoked, and I, as a child, really hated that he smoked.
Yeah.
I'm like, Dad, you're gonna get sick from smoking and all this stuff. And he was just a good dad. He's like, shut up, just go. And like he used to do this thing where he'd pull up to the local like store, whatever, and be like, George, go in and get me cigarettes. Or he'd ask me to get cigarettes from the other room because he was in his recliner. Okay. So I got so mad at this. I'd be like, look, you smoke if you want, but don't make me do it. So you keep making me do it. So I bought those cigarette loads you would see advertised in comic books.
They pop.
They were these like little white shards of like some sort of explosive, and I stuck them in all the cigarettes in his pack. And one day we're at the house, and he's like, George, go get me my cigarettes. I'm like, okay, Pop. And I go get them. I sit there like watching from the corner with a gleeful look in my eye, and this thing blew the fuck up. He lit it. It blew up, and he had like all pieces of tobacco in his eyes.
Was he like a Looney?
Like, what'd you do?
Was he like a Looney Tunes cartoon with black all over his face?
His face? No, it wasn't like that. But it was surprisingly destructive. But I didn't have to get him cigarettes anymore because then he no longer trusted me.
Wow. Did you get grounded or something, or did he laugh? Or?
No, I think he knew that he didn't really have much high ground there. Yeah, he's like, well, I probably shouldn't be making my young son get me cigarettes if he doesn't want to. And, and to my dad's credit, dude hasn't smoked for decades, so.
That would have been funny if he had gone out to dinner with those cigarettes before he found out. It just explodes. And then it was a work dinner. He was having dinner with his boss.
Well, Mr. DeSoto, this is why I deserve a raise. Oh, my son. And then he's distracted by a woman in a bikini walking by.
I was going to say, what if he went to get out pizza? He could order pizzas for the family, and he's smoking a cigarette. And a pretty lady walks by, and he looks at her, and he falls. And then his cigarette explodes.
And then he's laying there in his own pizza refuse. He's like, I need more butter. I'm definitely going to ask my dad to see this one. So, he goes out. The guy who snaps gum goes out to get the cigarettes.
He gets killed.
At the cigarette machine, he is a cop. Oh, and there's the scene we forgot to mention where Mr. Futterman from Gremlins is killed.
Oh, he's the first kill. He's cleaning up puke or something.
Yeah, it's gross, man. It looks like a melted chocolate shake. Mm-hmm. And he's just doing his Mr. Futterman act, being like, yeah, I don't understand this. This is these kids today. You stupid robot. And the robot electrocutes him with his taser because he's standing in a puddle. Mm-hmm. Possibly accidental. I don't know.
It wasn't clear that the robot was that smart.
Yeah. Then the robot accosts the guy who snaps his gum, who's just wearing jeans. And
his girlfriend comes to find him. And he's the one with the throat slit because she shakes his head.
Oh,
and blood.
You're right.
Blood
so maybe there is
neck.
2 chops. That might be a chop. We don't see it happen. We see him get electrocuted too. But then we hear a squitch noise, like a.
But his girlfriend runs away, and suddenly we didn't learn this in the beginning, did we? The killbots have lasers.
No,
they suddenly evolved.
It makes no sense at all why they would have it's like this. It's like the robots. Their heads look like the things from the War of the Worlds from the 1970s. Yes. They're shooting death rays. But Tim, you forgot to mention her butt cam.
Yeah, I know. You mean she gets shot in the butt by the laser first?
Well, as she's walking to find her boyfriend, the camera is just. She's only wearing panties and like I guess a t-shirt. And the camera is just right behind her butt the entire way, looking at this woman's butt. And then as she's running away for her life, the robots, before killing her, do indeed shoot her in the butt. And there's with a little tiny laser that she goes, ow! And I was shocked at her death.
I know. Why don't the lasers blow up her butt? The laser blows up her head.
The lasers were very inconsistent. Yes. Another character later gets shot in the arm and she's okay. Right. But she runs to the furniture store and she screams and the friends all look up and see her out there and her head full on explodes. Yes. And I was like, whoa, didn't see that coming in this movie. It was a pretty good special effect.
Yeah, that was all the money they had for that.
Yeah, I mean I never saw that actor in anything else. Maybe, I don't know. I'd say Roger Corman. The guy's got some power.
So the robots all attack the furniture store. And they escape into the heating ducts.
Well, no, they send the ladies into the heating ducts. And for some reason, the guys decide not to go in after them, even though it's a pretty clear way to get out of there.
Except it gets hot and they think the robots are doing it, but we never know if the robots are making the That's
Yeah, and there's a
hot.
weird scene I didn't quite understand where you see the robots spray goo on the wall and then shoot wires into it.
It's plastic explosives that because
It
the door
was?
explodes. Remember?
Oh.
They're not supposed to have plastic explosives. These robots suddenly have everything. Lasers.
Yeah, they have lasers, plastic explosives. Like they were just supposed to have like tasers and like
Yep.
they have full on death rays.
Yep.
I mean, they made that poor woman's head explode.
Yep.
Tim, that makes sense that was plastic explosive because I thought
You weren't paying attention.
I thought they were gonna do some Spider-Man shit. There's definitely a few scenes I have to confess that I looked down for a second, or like my iPad to like read a factoid, and I'm like, what happened?
They throw a gas tank at one robot, blow it up, knock it over.
Yep. Which they break into the gun store. The guys go into the gun store. They get a whole bunch of guns. There's the line.
They all know how to use them.
One of the 3 indistinct male leads, no, 4 indistinct male leads at this, no, 3 because one's dead at this point. Says, let's go. Oh, I can't read my writing.
Let's send them robots a Rambogram.
That's it. Let's go send these fuckers a Rambogram on my version.
Okay.
So they have a gun battle and they blow up a propane tank and they kill one of the robots.
They think.
Or do they?
And Allison, here's the plot gets. I'm not going to go every plot point here because they run around the mall a bit. And they set up a trap in the elevator that I don't understand.
I didn't get that either.
And Allison grabs...
One of the women freaks out. Susie, that's her name.
Yeah, she freaks out. She's like, I got to go see my boyfriend.
This is another thing I felt like, that was a stupid character moment, but I'm like, this woman's actually giving a performance.
Right.
Like, she was doing a freak out there. I'm like, this is a real movie. This is too good for Seddy Bimco. Yes. This isn't like Patty Duke going back to... Was that the woman who went to her school in the Brooklyn Heights? That wasn't that garbage. This was a woman...
It was Y2K.
Wait, oh my God. This is a woman like in a heating vent, like having a freak out. I'm like, okay, this woman's actually acting. Way to go, lady.
And she's the one that dies. Oh,
she
gets
horribly.
Set on fire. That's right.
She gets set on because the girls decide they're going to fight because nobody will give the girls guns, even when like guys are dead and their guns are laying there. It's like girls don't get guns, so they're carrying around propane tanks that are like making Molotov cocktails out of them. And the robot shoots her and she's screaming for like a full minute. Yes. I'm like, again, this is gruesome.
And you know what I read? This was filmed in obviously a real mall at night when it wasn't open.
Yeah.
And the chief of not security, but the guy in charge of this, what do you call the chief janitor? The
chief janitor.
Chief janitor.
Head security guard?
That's not being. But he did not like that they were filming this here. He hated like the mess they were making, and he was there all the time. Like, no, don't scuff up the floor. Don't spill stuff on there. And like, they're setting people on fire, a dummy on fire, or her, or
no,
a
that was definitely a stunt person.
Yeah.
She moves, yeah.
And I was thinking, wow, fire's in here. And
do you think it was like he's like, if you're gonna do this here, I get to be in the scenes where they're topless?
Yeah, he was probably there.
And then he fell.
Don't mess up the beds.
And he fell carrying all his cleaning supplies because he saw a naked woman.
He was carrying
them. After Susie gets set on fire, she's the next person to die. 3 of them are dead now. There's a scene of the survivors holed up in like some restaurant.
Wait, the pizza shop that we saw where the
Oh, it's the pizza shop. That makes sense.
This is when one of the characters...
The characters were so ill-defined at this point, I actually wasn't sure which was her boyfriend.
The one who was freaking out. Because he suddenly was like...
Well, eventually he freaks out and pulls a gun on them. He's like, I'll go kill them robots. And then he...
He was mad at them. It didn't take him long. It was like 4 minutes and he was losing it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he did see his girlfriend horribly burned to death while alive.
So then, he runs off without looking around, and the robot throws him off the top level. Yep,
does not chop him. Again, just throws him off the top. It's a pretty good fall. It looks like a stunt man. Again, they spent some money here. It's surprising it's only $800,000, but in '86,
Roger Corman,
$800,000, like $250 million. Yeah.
So they sneak into a department store that's ill-defined. There are mannequins in it, and there's perfume.
Yeah.
And so it's like a ladies' shop.
A department store. It's like a Sears.
For some reason, they go to sleep. They think they're safe. I thought they would keep looking for a way out. Because there's back doors.
Again,
Did you ever work in a mall?
No.
I knew someone that worked at a Foot Locker as an adult.
Are you bragging?
Yep. And I knew there was a back
Yeah.
door.
So you think you're better than
if
me?
I went there to see him and he wasn't there, because he was the boss, I'd say, "Where's your boss?" And they would. This is what they say. Said he's out drinking his lunch.
Nice.
So,
the 80s are a magical time.
that was not the 80s. That was
when was this?
the late 90s.
The late 90s, also a magical time. Any time that wasn't the last 3 years is a magical time. Wait, last 3? Why 3 years? Why did you say?
Why 3 years?
Oh, because I hate that Joe Biden. Go Brandon.
So here's where they both get creative and really stupid at the end. They lined up mannequins to confuse the robots. I'm like, hey.
Yep.
An actual good idea. And they have...
There was a couple good ideas. I'll talk about the other one when we get up to it. I'm like, wow, this is actually some thinking.
The mirrors behind them?
No, not that one.
What's the other good idea they had?
The pet shop.
Oh, well, we're not there yet.
I know. That's what I said I'll talk about when we get to it. You drove this point. You forced me to say it early.
They have a mirror, and they trick the one robot to lasering himself.
Oh, that's what happened. Yeah. Tim, this is the other time I looked down for a second.
I looked down too, and I rewound it.
I couldn't be bothered. I looked down and so the robots are firing at the mannequins, the guys, because only the guys have guns, remember? Yes. Women are allowed to have guns. They're shooting at the robots lined up among the mannequins, kind of sitting behind them. Like, it should be good cover. And then I looked down and suddenly one of the robots is got electricity all over it, like it's being electrocuted. It shot itself in the mirror. Yep. Okay. But then it shoots our brunette, who we haven't talked about much. She's the married couple, the wife. The only actor in this entire movie of the 8 leads who I could easily tell apart from other ones because she had different colored hair.
And her husband was a little more older than the rest, I think. The actor.
Yeah, he was...
and he loses it, and here's a part... I don't know if you were laughing.
I was.
He loses it. He's like, "You guys, damn you to hell." Whatever. He's mad at the robots because they killed his wife. He jumps on a cart. And
like a weird little...
And drives it 4 feet.
Janitor cart.
4 feet into the killbot. Did you not see that?
Well, yeah, while firing an M16 at it. Pow, pow, pow. Riding this
It's like a golf cart.
Man, but smaller. It's even smaller. It was this weird little thing you would probably use to move garbage pails in the mall. And then he hits this robot who is arcing with electricity and is electrocuted and dies. And that's 2 more deaths, not by chopping. So just throwing that out there.
So now we're down to Allison and Fergie.
Ferdy.
The 2 guys. And you know,
Fergie,
Allison is bandaged over her 80s sweater. Did you notice that?
Yes. Oh, because Allison gets shot in the arm by one of these lasers that previously blew up the girl's head, but also gave her a cute little zap on her butt. Right. So, like I said, these lasers are kind of all over the place. Yeah, she does it. Also, I think I might be wrong. The bandage it was on maybe switched at points. Like her arm that was bandaged was maybe at different points. It's like, wait. And again, I couldn't be bothered to rewind.
Did you see the G.I. Joe helicopter toy?
No.
Yeah, I was looking in the background. Those Garfield calendar.
Oh,
There's a lot of stuff.
Was it the Dragonfly helicopter with Wild Bill?
I don't know.
Yeah, you weren't of the G.I. Joe. You missed that by a little bit, right?
Yes. So Ferdy, we think Ferdy dies because he knocks his head on the ground. And
there's so much blood.
Yes.
Like he gets knocked to the ground by the robot, and there's immediately I don't know, a 14-inch radius pool of blood. Like immediately, I'm like, oh yeah, his skull is shattered.
That scene eerily mirrored. You remember the guy on Sesame Street who comes out and says 10 birthday cakes? You know that guy in the early Sesame Street?
The Count?
No, it's a man. He's a chef, and it's counted 10. I think he said he's got 10 cakes. He says 10 birthday cakes, and he falls down the stairs and drops them all.
What? Oh, is that because he looks over and he sees?
Yes. Off camera. That's how they did it. They had Mrs. Wisconsin. You don't remember this sketch in Sesame Street?
No.
It's famous.
Oh, if I had seen that would have awoken something in me.
But she was off camera. That's how they made him fall. But when
I was a kid, I wrote fan mail to Maria on Sesame Street because I was in love with her.
Yeah, me too.
She sent me a little letter, but not a letter. She sent me a signed picture of her and a picture of the whole cast.
Oh.
Yeah. So Maria was my girlfriend.
Was she naked with a zombie covering up her boobs like Naked Corpse magazine?
The zombie was naked and she was covering it up. I'm like, this seems weird for like an education. Like,
that was a poor attempt at a joke. Just tell me. You were too nice. John's like, that was a terrible joke, Tim.
That's why John's not on the show anymore.
That was no joke.
John just gets angry when you defame the Muppets and he leaves for weeks at a time, and I have to cover for him.
He doesn't mind if I defame the Muppets.
So
okay, well she gets chased and she runs into a pet store. This is around like, oh no, not pets, not little puppies.
I was worried that it was gonna be a massacre where all the pets were gonna die because the robot comes in after her and is like smashing these tanks, which are all full of spiders and snakes.
It was like a comedy almost.
But I think she's
hiding on the floor under something,
and they're crawling on her.
Spiders, tarantulas crawl on her, snakes crawl on her. I thought, what next?
Maybe I was thinking too much.
And ants were crawling on her. And then they dropped a can of honey on her, and the ants were all eating the honey that was on her. Anyway.
And then that guy came in, and he started licking her too, and she's like, I like honey.
I wish that's what...
I actually thought she went there because maybe they were tracking life signals. I maybe thought too much of this.
Too much of this.
Yeah.
Because if they had just stayed still inside a store, I think they'd be okay. I don't know.
Yeah, they're dumb. These kids are stupid.
So it leaves, and she's like determined to defeat him now.
Yeah.
Because Birdie's dead. And she goes to the paint thinner store in the paint store. You know what I thought?
That's how she does it. What?
I thought she was going to just throw the paint on him so he couldn't see. Wouldn't that solve everything?
Me too.
But no.
Instead, she pours all the paint on the floor. We didn't mention this. The robots are on tank treads.
Yeah.
So the robot goes onto the paint and just starts spinning its treads. It can't really move.
Yep.
And she also threw like some paint thinner in there too. Sweet. So it's like super volatile and fireproof. Mm-hmm. And then we also didn't mention this, Tim. We did a bad job of encapsulating these robots.
Cool.
They had the hilarious catchphrase of after killing people, they would say, thank you, have a nice day. And like a voice that sounds so much like RoboCop that they should sue RoboCop. Yes. And she says, and they distort her voice, it goes slow motion. She goes, hey, robot, have a nice day. And throws like road flares at this thing. And this robot, the whole store blows the fuck up.
I was curious about that. They must have built something outside to look like a store. There's no way they blew that up.
No, it's weird though. So the name of the store was Ellis Paints. Mm-hmm. And at the end in the credits, they're thanking all the businesses at the mall. And there really is an Ellis Paints. So I'm like, I think that guy was trying to get insurance money. I let these people film and they blew up my paint store. It's a pretty good explosion.
That's why I thought it must be outside in the parking lot.
Yeah, they must have done something. But they definitely filmed something in a real Ellis Paints because it gets thanked.
But Fergie,
then she comes out. Yeah. And she's like limping. She fell off. We didn't mention she fell onto like a tent.
Yeah.
And she got shot in the arm and I don't know, probably her butt. And
Ferdy's alive. He's holding a roll of toilet paper on his bloody head, soaking up all the blood.
There's so much blood. And he's like, hey, great hit, Allison. Yes. And
I'm very woozy.
Yeah. And then I feel like I have to lay down and maybe never wake up. And then that's pretty much the end of the movie.
Pretty much is. That is the end.
But well, no, there's two things. Mm-hmm. They had what I call Predator credits. We've all seen the movie Predator, which was probably only a couple years after this, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger. Mm-hmm. Like, that movie is about a squad commando force who all get horribly murdered by like an alien from outer space with advanced technology and cloaking abilities. And the credits just kind of show all these like hard as nails dudes that you barely got to know before they died. Like just kind of smiling in like these moments is like,
yes, that's
hey,
right.
I'm Jesse the Body Ventura and everything's lovable. And like, it's funny. And they did the same thing with these characters, except for the woman whose head explodes.
Really?
The shot of her is her screaming at her head exploding.
Oh no, I didn't see that. I didn't stay that long.
And I left. And then there was an after credit scene.
What?
Yeah, which
Tubi kind of shut it down. Tubi was already playing the stuff for me.
Oh wow. Oh, the stuff. I want to watch that again. The after credit scene is you see, I don't know if it's a fourth robot or this was just a robot, but a robot, one of the kill bots, all three of the ones that we knew about got killed, but a fourth one rolls up to the screen in the mall and says, "Have a nice day," and ends.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and then Thanos says, "I have to solve this myself," and he grabs the Infinity Stones. Yeah, it's a secret MCU movie. I do have to say this. I think the title is a real mistake, and I spent some time thinking about what a better title would have been, keeping an idea of the pun. What about Mall Security, but Mall is spelled M-A-U-L?
Yeah.
Because he does maul a few people. He doesn't really chop anybody, except for Graham Garrettson. And let's go on to the test.
To the test? No, it's quiz time.
The Bimco Seddy Q&A.
Brain twister.
Answering quizzes. Theme song.
Do you like quizzes, John?
I do love quizzes. I'll call it Seddy Q&A.
Brain twister. The Bimco. I love quizzes. The Bimco.
I'll call it theme song. No.
Now, whose question goes first?
There's a wild card question that George picked, which we'll start with, unless you have a different order to go in.
No, I don't.
Who from this movie was most likely to win the lottery and lose the ticket?
Yes.
So you go ahead.
You know what's funny, Tim? I misremembered which one I chose and thought I chose lose a finger.
Lose what?
Well, the person from the I know. The person from this movie who clearly was most likely to buy it, win the lottery ticket, and then lose it is our main character, one of our two main characters, Ferdy.
Oh yeah.
He bought the ticket. He was really excited. He got the scratch-off numbers. He knows the jackpot's enormous. It's all they've been talking about in the local news for months. Nuts. It's been billion. It's the biggest lotto jackpot of all time. His ticket is worth $11 billion. This is in 1986. That would be enough to buy 40 Twitters nowadays. And he's so excited. And as he's running up the stairs to go quit his job,
is he carrying a bunch of pizzas?
He's carrying a bunch of pizzas that he's actually not going to eat these pizzas. These are piping hot pizzas. He just picked them up from Alice's place of work. He's like, get them really hot and molten. He's going to throw this hot pizza in the face of his boss and say, fuck you. I'm quitting. I'm going to bulldoze this shitty mall. I'm going to buy this state. I'm going to end your family line because I'm richer than God now. He looks over and what does he see in the escalator going down?
Mrs. Wisconsin.
No, it's not Mrs. Wisconsin. What's funny is Miss Michigan.
Miss Michigan.
Yeah, and he is struck by her cleavage, and he gets there's a cartoonish noise of a boner popping, like a boing boing boing. He falls in the pizzas face first, so piping hot. Not only is the ticket lost immediately, it just slips into the cracks of the escalator. Maybe that shit-covered boy finds it, but he is disfigured by this pizza. His nose melts off completely.
Wow,
and he becomes the Phantom of the Mall.
Gotcha.
And he's haunted by the specter of his lost pizza. Of his lost face.
And ticket.
His lost billions winnings.
He spends all his time
hangs around the mall at night.
Ticket.
Yeah, looking for the ticket. He looks for quarters so he could buy $1.25 cigarettes.
When he hears the intercom say there's a child lost in lingerie, he's like,
He laughs and he abducts that child. He's a monster.
Yeah.
It's that too. Ferdy.
Oh my God. That's more like a spin-off show, George. That's a whole different show.
My spin-off show will be about Jaws, as always.
I say the person most likely to win and lose a ticket is the owner of that pizza place. He always bought a lottery ticket. One day he got the winning ticket, but his poorly trained waitresses who work for him... Why are you laughing, Artie? Well, they're poorly trained. They dropped a whole tray of linguine and broke 12 plates. He went 12. Into a rage and did his really bad Italian accent. He became very...
Can you do the really bad Italian accent?
I don't know. Are we allowed to do that?
No. Yeah, of course. It's character work, Tim.
You're making me so mad. That's bad. So he goes into a rage. He's very abusive to the girls until the mall security shows up to subdue him. But this was shortly after the Killbot incident, and they had to hire a fill-in security system, a new security system for the mall. And they hired this new idea called trained monkeys that shoot tranquilizer darts. So the new security system that showed up was trained monkeys that would shoot tranquilizer darts. But they're monkeys and they don't care about using darts. They just threw their feces at the pizza shop owner and at the waitresses and at anyone who happened to walk by. And sadly, the lottery ticket was lost in a hail of monkey pieces that he never found.
Wow. Did any of the monkeys break into the typewriter store and type out the complete works of Shakespeare randomly?
There weren't enough of them.
Because that would be not surprising.
There's only like
that's
5
just
of them.
Gonna
We
happen.
need at least 10.
Okay. Wow, that's you're right. That sounds nothing like a spin-off.
But that's what happened.
All right, what's the next question, Tim?
Who from this movie would be most likely to have a podcast?
I would say Mr. Futterman. We didn't talk about him much. Mr. Futterman is his name from the Gremlins. He was the janitor, the foul-mouthed, grouchy janitor.
What's the actor's name?
And it would just be Dick Wilson?
Jesus.
No, it's not Dick Wilson. It is Dick something.
It's
Dick Miller. Dick Miller.
Famous.
But this is the character, not the actor. It's just the malcontented ramblings of a disgruntled employee. He has to clean up shit. He has to clean up blood. Those kids, they left other bodily fluids around, which I won't get into specifically. Those monkeys, don't even start me on those fucking monkeys. He's got to clean that stuff up.
So you're saying he lived when he was killed?
Oh yeah, he that electrocution actually, because he gets electrocuted. I don't know if I mentioned that. It actually cures his psoriasis.
Okay.
Yeah, he was real itchy before that, but like it was like giving him a chemical bath.
Yeah.
He feels better.
He
He
feels so much
stands a little bit taller. He had a slip disc that just slipped right back into place. He had erectile dysfunction, which is something he used to grind.
George,
now he's permanently erect.
I was going to make that joke. And in my head, I'm like, too easy. I was going to make a poop joke that he is better now, but he just crapped his pants all the time.
Well,
so let's.
He does that for fun.
Yeah.
That's his silent protest. So he's just like, they don't call me a Dick Miller for nothing, as he walks around half hunched over, even though he has perfect posture now, because he has to hide his shame.
What's the podcast called?
Talking Dicks.
He's talking about his coworkers, right?
Yep. Well, one of the things is he works at Dick's Sporting Goods. So it's Dick Miller. Well, he's not Dick Miller though. Fuck. All right, I'll come back to me. I'll come up with a better name. How about it's called Mall Security, MAUL Security.
Okay.
There we go.
Good.
All right.
Me, I think it's the twin daughters of the man who was eating everything in the pizza shop. Their names were Mandy Peak and Pat Peak. So later on in life, they had a podcast because you see, every day after eating that pizza shop, their father would go to the furniture store and take a nap, in those beds. Mm-hmm. And after that, he would go to Spencer Gifts and buy gifts for his friends that they never wanted, and thus he'd end up keeping them. That whole scam. He'd keep them himself, and he did this for years.
I bought that boob hat for your Uncle Richie.
So now it's mine. Boob hat, boob mugs. So he did this for years until one day he went to take a nap at the furniture store, only to find it had been destroyed by the killbots. Remember, they blew apart the beds when they were attacking the teenage kids.
Oh yeah, they were
blew up the whole place.
Exploded in slow motion.
Only one mattress was left, but it was soiled by those horny teenagers. So,
so dirty.
He decided to pretend to try out a guitar in the guitar store, and they have those soundproof booths. And he went into the soundproof booth pretending to play the guitar, but he took a nap in there. And they closed the store and forgot about him and left him in there. And he had to smash his way out. And, he cut himself. He's dripping with blood because he smashed through the glass door. And he panicked and he went up to the main hall of the court, bleeding all the way, where he encountered the new mall security, because this is just after the killbots went nuts and they had to hire a new security system. And is
this before or after the monkeys?
It's after the monkeys, too. The new mall security was land sharks, and there he was covered with blood. And they ate him. Anyway, that's a long way to say he died. So years later, his twin daughters, Mandy and Pat Peak, they never threw away his junk, and they have a podcast for each week. They talk about a crappy item in their Spencer gift collection. The drunk drinking game, the boob mugs,
what's this podcast called?
The Blacklight Elvis poster. So these twin daughters named Peak had a podcast, and the podcast is called, you want to guess?
Yeah. Oh, wait, let me guess. Hold the Butter.
Nope.
No, oh, wait, no, it's called Garlic Logs.
It's called Twin Peaks, George.
Oh, my God, I hate you. You suck. Are you kidding? Wait, now, Tim.
Come on, what?
He didn't have children, right? There was no indication this man
that's
ever
my
reproduced. Correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't
He
the
could have had
question which
kids.
character from the movie? Yeah. All right. What's
Moving
the last
along,
question?
who would have a spin-off
Yeah.
TV show from this movie?
Well, I should have saved Dick Miller for this one, right? I'm gonna say the spin-off TV show is going to go. We didn't talk about them much, but in the opening sequence, when we're watching the film that advertises this,
Yes.
there's the two people from Eating Raoul, and they're just gonna be. It's gonna be almost like a Beavis and Butthead or sort of like Mystery Science Theater thing, where you're just gonna be watching other TV shows.
Okay.
And every minute or so, it's just going to cut over to them, and they're going to lean into each other conspiratorially and say, like, "Boy, this sure is a stupid movie, huh?" Or something like that.
Okay.
And it's going to be called Talking Shit.
I thought you were going to name it after the Muppets in the balcony.
Oh, Statler and Waldorf.
Statler and Waldorf.
Yeah.
That should have been the name.
Yeah, it could have been. Should have been.
Whew.
How about nah, I got nothing.
All right.
Yeah, Odd Couple. How about Mystery Science Theater Mall?
Spelled M-A-U-L.
M-A-U-L. M-A-U-L. Nice.
Well, my show.
Cut and print. Yeah.
So my show. The kids. There were 3 kids. There was one lost in the lingerie shop. There was one shoplifting records. And there was one eating ice cream that got smashed in the elevator. Those kids came together that day.
46th President Donald Trump.
They all came to the mall together with a plan.
Ooh.
I know we think a lightning storm messed up the killbots and caused them to go crazy, but these 3 kids, this was their day. They were going to hang out the lingerie shop, steal records, and eat a bunch of ice cream, and they are the ones that disarmed the security system and messed it up. They were there.
But Tim, why would they do that?
I just told you. One kid wanted to go to the lingerie store because he used to go there all the time. And
this was to facilitate their deviltry.
Yes, he was always getting lost in the lingerie store, and his parents were like, "You're not going there anymore. It's just too suspicious.
Keep
You're always
sniffing those bras."
Yes. And so that night, those kids were there too. But one kid was in the lingerie shop. One kid was passed out after trying all 31 flavors at Baskin and Robin, and the other one was in the record store. Oh, their names. There was Louis. He was lingerie Louis. Eddie was mixtape Eddie. Is that
all right?
Is that a bad name? I'm not being offensive. Lingerie Louis. I'll explain. He was
Why would that be offensive?
And Gary, Ice Cream Gary, he was passed out after trying the ice cream. Who's the other guy?
Gary, Eddie.
Oh, Eddie.
Gary, Eddie, and Louis.
DJ Eddie. He wanted to be a DJ. There we go.
Okay.
I'm weaving this.
Wait, that's the whole story?
Terribly. Well, the television spin-off is them on the run after they caused the death of those teenagers. They have dramas like learning to accept that their friend Louis likes lingerie and likes wearing women's lingerie. They accept him and he accepts himself. And Eddie is a white kid who wants to be a DJ and gets dreadlocks, but his career goes down the tubes. And Gary, of course, is always passed out because he ate too much ice cream. So, and they also travel around the country fighting other killbots because they feel guilty for causing the death of those teenagers. So,
and they know, yes. They have to,
And because Louis decides he identifies as female, and the other 2 dress as girls to fool the authorities who are always after them, and they go by the code name the Golden Ladies. So, if you have a killbot problem, if no one else can help, and if you can find these 3 kids, maybe you can hire. What's this show called?
Let's see. I mean, it's not the Golden Girls, right? Is it the Golden Girls? Is it the Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling?
It's Three's Company. There's 3
I hate you.
Oh my God. I hope people like this part of the show because I like it. You got to write in. You can write.
I know.
You can write. Let me tell them. Unless you want to end the show. You can write us at Seddy Bimco with an E at Gmail. You can find us on.
Should I say that, or you can say this?
Say what?
Are you saying this now for the show, or
we're not? It's not. If you got something else to say, I will let you.
No.
I'm just.
Do we have any letters that are not mine?
Don't. But you can email us at SeddyBimco with an E at Gmail. Find us on Instagram, Seddy_Bimco. I left Twitter. and Hive has crashed. I'm on Mastodon.
What are you at? What do you at on Mastodon?
I'm on LinkedIn. Oh, I should have written that down.
Yeah,
Mastodon.
Who knows? By the time this airs, what will be happening in the world of social media? It'll probably all be burning.
Yes. Not next week, soon. Oh, you get to pick a movie next week.
John,
did you pick a teen movie, or you tell me later?
I haven't picked one. I will tell you later. Now that I know that the idea behind a teen movie is so loose as to include movies that don't really feature teenagers at all.
They were teenagers. Come on. Mentally, they were teenagers.
What did you read that the mall that this was filmed at is the same mall that Fast Times at Ridgemont High, a movie definitely supposed to be starring teenagers because it took place in a school. That was the same
this
mall.
Was after school. Yeah, I read that. I've seen this mall in another advertisement somewhere. But anyway.
Really?
Not so much to say about malls. But
yeah. All right, maybe I'll choose a good movie. I'll get to you in the next day or two. But it'll be too late to put on this. But
all right, we gotta go.
All right.
Don't hang up. All right. Goodbye, George. Don't hang up.
Goodbye, Tim.
Seddy Bimco is a podcast by Tim Hamilton and John Kelly. Produced by Miss Lee. Music by Tim Hamilton. This has been a Pity Party Line production.
Party line. It's a party line.
Oh, we're laughing at this man's misfortune. Yeah. That sucks, though. Because they're like, the gun guy could probably go to jail for 7 years. I'm like, yeah, but the other guy's got no nose.
They're both adults, 51 and...
Yeah, older.
I didn't see the other age.
I have to admit, I had to see what they looked like. So the article you sent me didn't list the victim's name. And I mean, I only looked at this last 5 minutes. I don't think they've released that information. No. But the photos of the guy who was the biter are incriminating, to say the best.
So it was.
He's wearing a pretty obvious hairpiece throughout. And then there's what looks like maybe a previous mugshot where he's just, defiantly bald and looking cranky. He just looked, I don't know. It's sad. There's no fun in that story.
He's bitten off other noses. Is that what you're saying?
Possibly. I mean, that's it's not like an impulse thing, when you bite a nose,
yeah.
Well, Tim, have you ever put another person's nose in your mouth?
Not in anger. Right? Come on.
Yeah.